This week's Parsha is Parshas Bo. And it's actually the turning point with Paro. After the Makos, he convinced at the end to send the Jews out of Mitzrayim. So it's a happy event. But when we went out of Mitzrayim, the Torah says that we didn't went out of Mitzrayim alone. I'll quote the pasuk from the Torah, from the Parsha. ויסעו בני ישראל מרעמסי סוכותה כ-600,000 רגלי הגברים לבד מטף. The place that they were working as slaves in Mitzrayim was Ramses, Pison and Ramses. So when they went out, they went from Ramses, and the first place out of Mitzrayim is Sukkota. And when they went out, the Torah described, וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, וצאן ובקר, מקנה כבד מאוד, וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, ערב רב, went with them. This will be our topic, the Erev Rav that came out of Mitzrayim, and the impact that they had during the time of in the Midbar, but not just them. We'll see very interesting information that we have about the Erev Rav during the history to the end of days, including our days. Okay, so I'll quote a few things. I hope you will be okay with this. I cannot show it on the screen. So Rashi says, Erev Rav, mix of nations, not just Egyptians. That's what Rashi says, because if it was Egyptians, it could say V'gam Mitzrim come with them. Erev Rav, mix of nations. The Ibn Ezra says, V'gam Erev Rav me'anshe Mitzrayim she'it'arev imahem. V'hem ha'asafsuf she'ne'esfu alehem. We find the asafsuf later on in the Midbar that do the complaint about the food, about the man. So asafsuf in Hebrew, it's gathering, le'asef, asefa. So, asafsuf she'ne'esfu alehem. Okay, now, over here, I have to do some introduction to something very big in Jewish machshava, Jewish philosophy. I'll quote the Siftei Kohen. Siftei Kohen, the Shach, is one of the commentators on the Torah. He is a very interesting one. He's bringing stuff in the Pshat, and then he put deep stuff from the secret, from the Kabbalah. So he said, the Shach on this pasuk says the following: "V'gam erev rav ala itam, lefi she'achoshech kadam la'or b'bri'ah." When Hashem created the world, it was first darkness, right? If you remember the second pasuk in the Torah, after Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, v'haaretz hayta tohu v'vohu v'choshech al pnei tehom. And then Hashem said, "Vayomer Elokim yehi or v'yor." But in the beginning it was darkness. וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, so said the Shach, לפי שהחושך קדם לאור בבריאה. שנאמר וחושך על פני תהום. והערב קדם ליום. שנאמר ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר. Right? We know that in the Jewish calendar, days start from the night before, right? Shabbos we're accepting and Friday night. So he made a very interesting connection between Erev Rav to the word Erev. וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, the Erev is before. Now, if you understand a little Hebrew, what is the meaning of the word Erev? Or Erev Rav? Erev Rav is mix of nation or people, right? What's Erev? In Hebrew, it's very interesting. You know, there is a lot of wisdom in the language. So, the switch between the daytime to the nighttime called Erev. Why? Because things got mixed up. I mean, when it's darkness, you have less clarity. That's why it's called Erev. And when you switch back from the night time to the daytime, it's called Boker. Why Boker? Boker is milashon levaker, to criticize or to verify. Bikoret. To verify, right? So very interesting. So, says the Shach, וגם ערב רב עלה איתם, Erev is darkness. Darkness. And here we have to do the introduction to this big thing. The Zohar says about darkness, about the light. It says, in the language of the Zohar, which is Aramaic, it says, Leit nehora elahahu denafik migo chashucha. There is no greater light than the light who come on a background of darkness. The more background of darkness is, the light is more shining, right? So here we learn that Hashem created the world in a way that in order to get to the ultimate gilui of the light, of the clarity, it has to be before that darkness or mix. When Hashem created the world, but in English it doesn't say anything. Again, let's go to the Hebrew language. How do you say world in Hebrew? Olam. What's the source of this? Yeah, if you heard my wife over here, she mentioned that probably more than one time. Olam is Leshon Ha'alama, concealment. When Hashem created the world, He created the creation, amazing creation, very, very sophisticated, so sophisticated that people could look at the creation and ignore the Creator. Wow, it's so amazing. And they search the laws of nature and how complicated is this and how amazing it is. And they forgot to ask the major question. So who created that? So this is the ha'alama. The ha'alama is the concealment that you could look at the reality, think that you get it, but you miss the main point, which is what is the purpose of it and what is the cause of this. So this is a general introduction to the topic. Now, when Hashem created the world, the purpose of the creation is to create a human being. What's so special about the human being? The human being is a creature that Hashem created in order for it, the human being, to create itself. What do I mean with this? Every element that Hashem created in the universe is actually a robot. They're all obligated to the laws of nature. They do not have their own decision about what to do and how to do. They're just robots. The only exception is the human being. That Hashem gave us a free will, a bechira chavshis. Not in everything, but there is an area of free will, and the will is really free, completely free. Hashem do not influence this. It's only each individual own will decide to do either this or just the opposite. And it's up to the individuals, which is the human beings. In order to create a field that this idea of free will could be actualized, Hashem created the world, and He created the concealment in the world. Because if everything was so clear, there was no free will. There would be only one option, what to do the things in the right way. So Hashem concealed it, or make a concealment in order, and this is the free will. The free will is either to look at the concealment and decide that this is reality, or ask yourself, wow, what's beyond this? Those are the two sides. Okay? Now, I'll go also to a topic that I believe everyone over here heard many times, at least from my wife. And this is the Chet Adam Rishon. The first time that the free will was actualized was by the time that Hashem created Adam Rishon and commanded him, from this tree, Etz Hadat U'Hara, don't eat from it. And as we know, Adam denied the authority of God and listened to this Nachash, and he sinned. Now let's just analyze the Nachash. Nachash Kadmoni is, in the Medrash it's mentioned that it's Nachash verochvo. It's the snake or the serpent and its rider. And who's the rider? The rider is the negative power that Hashem created in order to make something equivalent to the right, right? So koach hara, the power of evil. In the Kabbalah, this power called sitra achra. Sitra is, to translate it, sitra is a tzad, meaning a side. Achra, other side. When you talk about other side, it means that there is an original side, right? So the original side is the truth, God, Hashem, and the other one is just created in order to make the free will possible, so because you need two sides, right? So Chet Adam Rishon was that on one side of the scale, he could listen to God or deny God and listen to the other side. And that's what he did. He sinned. In Hebrew, how do you say sin? Chet. What is chet? I mean, the meaning of the words. The words are very, very important in the. When you have a target and you should shoot an arrow, there is only one point that when it's there, it's good. There are endless options of missing the target. How do you say to miss the target in Hebrew? Lehachti et hamatara. Lehachti. So the definition of chet is to put things not in the right place. This is the definition of chet. So put things in the right place is to do what's right. Not doing what's right is missing. So Adam Rishon missed the target. That's a chet Adam Rishon. Okay? And by doing this, he himself, as a creature, gave extra power to the evil. Hashem created evil. But here Adam interfered and give it power, give it authority. I'm listening to you, I'm not listening to God. So actually the bottom line was denying God. That was the sin, denying God. There is other authority that at least equivalent, but in this case, I prefer it even. Okay? So this is a kfira, and that what Chazal says that Adam Rishon min haya. Min is a koifer, is denial. If you look at the history, you could find that this tendency continued. The Mishnah in Avos says, 10 dorot mi-Adam ve'ad Noach, ve'kulam hayu mach'isim ve'olchim. 10 generations from Adam to Noach, and all of them continue this path of not doing what's right. Until the Mabul. Ishchit kol basar, it was such a corruption that nothing has right to exist. And then 10 dorot mi-Noach ve'ad Avram, another 10 generations, and the tendency continued until they built the Tower of Babel, right? And they tried to deny God and get him out even from, chase him out even from the sky, okay? But at this generation was Avraham Avinu. And Avraham Avinu, the first time, since the creation, was the only person who wanted to turn things back to the right things. Avraham Avinu. He wants to do just the opposite of Adam and all the generations after. And that's what the Mishnah says, Ad sheba Avraham v'natal schar kulam. He got, because of him it was worth to wait. So what did he do? He did just the opposite. It was so popular to deny one power at his generation, and he stand on one side, he called Avraham Ivri, שהוא עומד מצד אחד, וכל העולם עומד מצד אחד, the entire world. And he says, and he grew up when his parents, his educator taught him that there are a variety of spiritual powers, and he said, no, you're all wrong, there is only one. So he did just the opposite of what Adam Rishon did. Then started a very interesting process. This process called in the language of the Nevi'im, and explained a lot in the Kabbalah, the Beirur, Yitbareru, Uvaroti Mikem, meaning separate. Because what happened? When Adam Rishon ate from Etz Hadat Tovara, why this Etz called this way? What is the meaning of the words? Etz Hadat, that is connecting. When I want to know any piece of knowledge, the information is completely outside of me before I know it. In order to know it, I'm connecting myself to the knowledge, right? So that, the meaning of the word that is chibur, connection. Etz hadat tovara is a tree. There is only one tree like that, and it wasn't Gan Eden at the time. It's a tree that anyone who eats from its fruits connect himself to the idea of not pure good, but every good mixed with an evil, every evil mixed with a good. And that's what Adam Rishon, the father of the human race, started, and he put all of us in this situation that there is no pure good. Since then, there is no pure good. Every good mixed with evil, every evil mixed with some good. This is the whole confusion. After Chet Adam Rishon, the purpose of the after the Chet, because Adam Rishon in principle could listen to God and not sin. He chose to do it. After he chose to do it, this is a situation. So now the job is to separate the evil from the good and get back to the right place, the right state. That good is separate from, and this is the process called in the Nevi'im, and explained more in Chazal, Beirur. Beirur is separation. Separation. So the first point of the separation started by the free will of Avraham Avinu. Same free will that Adam Rishon did to the wrong way, Avraham started to do it in the right way. But it was not simple. Because now, after 20 generations, we have to separate what happened already. And here comes the secret of the words Lech Lecha. Me'artzecha u'mimoladetcha u'mibet avicha. Go away. Separate yourself from those people who are connected to the evil. That was the first step of the separation. Okay. But the evil was so connected to the good that even after Avraham separated from the people of Ur-Kasdim, in himself was still part of this evil, and we saw it in the next generation. Only Yitzchak continued Avraham, but Avraham has more children, right? Ishmael and Bnei Keturah, and he separated them. By the way, Sarah was the one to see that Ishmael and Yitzchak could not be together, and she told him, send him away. It was very hard for him, but Hashem told him, listen to Sarah, she's right. And then later on, before Avraham passed away, it says, ויתן אברהם את כל אשר לו ליצחק, ולבני הפילגשים אשר לאברהם נתן אברהם מתנות, וישלחם. He separated them and sent them away, קדמה אל ארץ קדם. So we see that the most of the children of Avraham Avinu was not in the good. And that was the second step of the separation. Yitzchak from Ishmael and Bnei Keturah. And now we're going to the next generation. And we see that it's still there. It was Yaakov and Esau, right? And it says in the Nevuah that Rivka got. Remember the Nevuah when she was pregnant? Hashem told her, Shnei goyim bevitnech u'shnei leumim imaich yiparedu, will be separated. And that was the third step. Then came Yaakov Avinu, and all of his children was in the good. Shema Yisrael, they told him at his last day, right? They told him, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, the same way you are, we following Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Meaning we accept him as the only authority. So it seems very good. Okay, we finish. Not yet. Hashem told Avraham Avinu, before the Shvatim, Hashem told Avraham Avinu, ידוע תדע כי גר יהיה זרעך בארץ לא להם. In בריס בין הבשרים. ועבדו ועינו אותם 400 שנה וגם את הגוי אשר יעבודו. דן אנוכי ואחריכם יצאו ברכוש גדול. So the decree about the Shibud Mitzrayim was before Paro was born. It's in Sefer Bereshis. Hashem told Avraham, this is the way it's going to be. In order to purify your children, in order for them to fix, to be mitaken Chet Adam Rishon, they have to go through the process of Yisurin, Memarkin, Avonas, and the whole thing by itself. One day maybe we'll talk about it. What was? I mean, we're so happy that Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, but why put us there in the first place, right? This is a whole big story. It's the answer for this is Yisurim Memarkim Avonos, which is purification. That all the over material called in the Kabbalah Zohamat Nachash has to be taken out in order to create a nation that could be accepting the Torah. So it was necessary. Fine. So we finished the Shibud Mitzrayim. And here we come to Parashat Bo. Baruch Hashem, we're going out of Mitzrayim. So it seems very good. Now, we have the Shvatim, we have the purification after. Sounds ideal. But here comes the problem. When we went out of Mitzrayim, we didn't went by ourselves only. The Erev Rav came with us. Erev Rav. Of course going. They were going. I quoted in the beginning. Maybe.
That they were just not.
Wait. When we went out of Mitzrayim, it says, "Vegam Erev Rav alaytam." Let me quote again. Rashi says, "Ta'arovet shel amim." Erev Rav ze irbuv. Many nations that were in Mitzrayim, maybe slaves also, because the Mitzrayim called Beis Avodim. Everyone in Mitzrayim was an Evid. So they used the opportunity and went with the Jews out, right? And the Ibn Ezra says it was a Mitzrayim. It was a Mitzrayim מאנשי מצרים שהתערבבו עמם. Anyway, so what happened? So we went out of Mitzrayim, but with us were Erev Rav. Who was the Erev Rav? Here I come again to information that mentioned in the Kabbalah. Actually, it mentioned in the Pshat also. First of all, let's mention the others. Okay. Anyway, I will not be able to finish the entire topic. It's very, very long with a lot of information. But let's go step by step. Those Erev Rav who came out of Mitzrayim were not Jews. And there is a reason why they got. Apparently, simple way, they used the opportunity. You know what? The cruel masters, the Mitzrayim, are now neutral. I mean, they got punished. Let's use the opportunity and run away from jail, right? But was a deeper reason for this. Now, when they went with us, it says that 50 days after Yetzias Mitzrayim was Matan Torah. Let me quote a pasuk from Sefer Shemot in Parashat Yitro. The description of מעמד הר סיני. בחודש השלישי לצאת בני ישראל מארץ מצרים, ביום הזה באו מדבר סיני, ויסעו מרפידים ויבואו מדבר סיני, and be aware of notice the following. ויחנו במדבר, ויחן שם ישראל נגד ההר. So there is a repetition. ויחנו במדבר, they were camping in the desert, and then the Torah repeats, ויחן שם ישראל נגד ההר. And the Israel, the Jewish nation, was camping near or against the mountain, which is Har Sinai. Says the Ramban on this pasuk, very, very important information to know. ויחנו במדבר, ויחן שם ישראל נגד ההר. Says the Ramban, וייתכן שהבדילו מתוכם כל האספסוף אשר בקרבם. When they went to the desert, all of them came. Everyone who went out of Mitzrayim, not just the Jews, but the Erev also. That's why there is a repetition. ויחנו במדבר, everyone. Then, ויחן שם ישראל נגד ההר, שהבדילו מתוכם כל האספסוף אשר בתוכם. All those that came with them, which is the Erev Rav, they separated from them. וחנו ישראל לבדם לפני ההר, וערב רב אחריהם. They were in the back, the Erev Rav. כי לישראל ייתן התורה. Hashem gave the Torah to Israel. The Erev Rav were there, but they were not the acceptors of the Torah. Okay? Now, during the 40 years in the desert, they were the one who did all the big problems, the complaints. It says in Sefer Bamidbar, Perek Yud Aleph, in Kivrot HaTa'ava, when they said the food is not good, we זכרנו את הדגה אשר אכלנו במצרים, we do not like the man. So it says over there, ויהי העם כמתאוננים, ויצעק העם, והאספסוף אשר בקרבו יתאוו תאווה. That's what the Torah says. והאספסוף אשר בקרבו. says רש"י, והאספסוף אלו ערב רב, שנאספו עליהם בצאתם ממצרים. They were the one who were complaining. The Jews was okay with this, but they, okay. The major event that they caused a lot of damage was Chet HaEgel. In Chet HaEgel, it's a whole big story by itself to explain what's really happening in Chet HaEgel. But let me again quote two things from the description of Chet HaEgel. It says, וירא העם כי בושש משה לרדת מן ההר ויקהל העם על הארון. Every time that relating to Bnei Israel is by the word ha'am, is not just Bnei Israel. It usually is the lower level or the Erev, ha'am. So they came to Aaron, ויאמרו אליו, קום עשה לנו אלוהים אשר ילכו לפנינו, כי זה משה האיש אשר העלנו מארץ מצרים, לא ידענו מה היה לו. Very interesting. They are not, even the Am, meaning the Erev, we'll see later, they didn't look for substitute to Hashem, but for substitute to Moshe. Moshe went to the mountain. He said he would come back after 40 days. He didn't, so he disappeared. We need someone like Moshe. It says clearly, וירא העם כי בושש משה לרדת מן ההר. They saw that Moshe is not coming. ויקהל העם על הארון ויאמרו אליו, קום עשה לנו אלוהים אשר ילכו לפנינו, כי זה משה האיש אשר העלנו מארץ מצרים, לא ידענו מה היה לו. So they want substitute to Moshe. So Aaron saw that they were very anxious and it was really hard to calm them down. He told them, okay, פרקו נזמי הזהב אשר באוזניכם. Okay. They gave him the jewelries, ויתפרקו כל העם את נזמי הזהב אשר באוזניהם, ויביאו לארון, ויקח מידם ויצר אותו בחרת, ויעשהו עגל מסכה, and be aware of the following. He put it in the frame, and it became an egel. And here it says, ויאמרו אלה אלוהיך ישראל אשר העלוך מארץ מצרים. Who's talking? ויאמרו אלה אלוהיך ישראל. Not the nation. Someone talked to the nation. אלה אלוהיך ישראל. So someone talked to Israel and told them, though this is your God. Who's talking? The Erev. The Erev. Because if not, it should say, אלה אלוהינו Israel. If the Jews themselves talking, right? So they were the one. Now, there is more things that need to be clarified over here. When Moshe Rabbeinu was in the mountain, Hashem told him that they made the egel downstairs, right? How it's written in the Torah. It says, וידבר השם אל משה, when he was up on the mountain, לך רד, go down, go back down to the camp. But it says, ויאמר השם אל משה, לך רד, כי שיחת עמך, אשר העלית מארץ מצרים. Two things. Hashem says to Moshe, your nation, Amcha is your nation. But it says, Ki shichet Amcha. What shichet? Shichet, ashchata is corruption. In Hebrew, in the Dikduk, you should say, Ki hishchit Amcha. They become corrupted. Shichet is PL. Someone corrupted them. ויאמר השם אל משה לך רד כי שיחת עמך אשר העלית מארץ מצרים. Says Rashi on the spot. שיחת עמך, שיחת העם לא נאמר, אלא עמך. Hashem says to Moshe, עמך. And here's the information that we should know. Says Rashi, ערב רב שקיבלת מעצמך, you took them out of Mitzrayim, you on your own, that was your own decision to take them. You took them from Mitzrayim. ערב רב שקיבלת מעצמך וגיירתם ולא נמלכת בי. You had a very good intention that they will be converted, that they will know the truth, right? So let's put them together with the Jews. And you didn't ask me. And actually he did ask him and Hashem told him, don't do that. ואמרת טוב שידבקו גרים בשכינה והם שיחתו והשחיתו. So your intention was good, but see what problem it caused? Rashi, the source of Rashi is in the Medrash, and in more details in the Zohar. Let me quote you the Medrash. The Medrash says, on this pasuk, לך רד כי שיחת עמך, העם אין כתיב כאן, אלא עמך. That's what Rashi said, right? It quotes from the Medrash. It's not העם, but עמך. אמר משה, And here's the story. אמר משה, ריבון העולם, מניין הם עמי? It's my nation, it's not your nation. You took us out of מצרים. אמר לו הקדוש ברוך הוא, עמך הם. No, I'm talking about the group that you took out of מצרים. שעד שהיו במצרים, when they were in מצרים, remember, Hashem told to Moshe, remember, and I sent you to מצרים, what I told you to do? אמרתי לך, והוצאת את צבאותי את עמי בני ישראל מארץ מצרים. That's what I told you. Take my nation out of מצרים. אמרתי לך שלא לערב בהם ערב רב. I told you, עמי, don't bring anyone else out. אתה שהיית ענב וכשר. אמרת לי, לעולם מקבלים את השווים. You, because you were humble and you have good intention, let's accept everyone. Maybe they will convert and will go to the truth. ואני הייתי יודע מה הם עתידים לעשות. And I knew that it's not good, Hashem says to Moshe. אמרתי לך לאו, I told you not, don't take them out. ועשיתי רצונך. But because you really wanted, I agreed. That והם שעשו את העגל. Those one, שהיו עובדים עבודה זרה, והם עשו אותו וגרמו לעמי לחטוא. So it's all the words of the Medrash. And they did the egel, and they corrupted, and this is the meaning of the word shichet amcha. They corrupted my nation. מה כתיב? אלה אלוהינו, אין כתיב כאן, אלה אלוהיך ישראל, שהגרים שעלו עם משה הם שעשאו, ואמרו לישראל, אלה אלוהיך ישראל. So that's the Medrash. The Zohar said something even more amazing. It's written in Aramaic. I will translate it. Tachas, come look at it. כתיב וירא העם כי בושש משה. Man ha'am. Ask the Zohar, who is the Am? Says the Zohar, Yinon Erev Rav. Man Erev Rav. And who were they, those Erev Rav? Says the Zohar, כל חרשי מצרים וכל חרטומים דלהון. חרטומי מצרים. Let me explain this. Remember when Moshe Rabbeinu was sent to Mitzrayim, he came to Paro and he told him, Hashem Elokei העברים שלחני אליך. שלח את עמי ויעבדוני. Hashem sent me to you, send the Jews out of Mitzrayim. What was the response of Paro? He says the following. מי השם אשר אשמע בקולו? Who is he that I have to listen to him? לא ידעתי את השם וגם את ישראל לא אשלח. I do not know him. So I'm not going to relate to your request. It's very interesting that Paro said that because we know that he knows Hashem. How do we know that? Not him. But it was known in Egypt. Go back to Sefer Bereshit. Remember when Yosef solved the dreams of Paro, right? So what Paro says, the other Paro, the Paro at the time of Yosef, what he said? אחרי הודיע אלוהים אותך את כל זאת, אין נבון וחכם כמוך. God revealed it to you. You are the smartest. So I want to put you as my treasurer, minister. Right? So we know Paro, the Paros, that was the name of the kings in Egypt, knows about Hashem. So how he said over here, Lo yadati et Hashem. So the thing is that Hashem has few names. Elohim and Yud-Kei Vav-Kei and other names. When Moshe Rabbeinu came to Paro, he came with the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Hashem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Elokei העברים שלחני אליך. Paro said, I don't know such a name. I know Elohim. I don't know this one. And there are differences between the names. I don't know how to say it in brief, but did you ever ask yourself why Hashem needs more than one name? Why Hashem has more than one name? So in brief, as I could do it, which is not... what is name in general? Name is a definition of the thing. Real name. Real name is a real definition of the thing that got the names. That was the first mission of Adam Rishon. Before everything. When Hashem created him, he passed all the animals that he created, and Adam has to give them names. And it says, "V'chol asher yikra lo Adam nefesh chaya hu shmo." You know how to give the right names to the right animal based on the character and other stuff. Okay. If so, name is the definition of the one who got the name. You could not give name to Hashem because you could not define Hashem. Definition is defined from here to here, right? Hashem is almighty. You could not define him. So therefore we have to know that the names of Hashem that mentioned in the Torah and the Tanakh and in Chazal are not the name of the essence of Hashem, but it's the names of the Hanhaga, the way Hashem relate to the world. And I have an amazing mashal to explain this in the most clear way. Imagine someone who has relations with different people around him. He is a husband. He is a father. Same person. He is a grandfather. He has parents, so he's a son of. He has grandparents. He is a doctor about his profession, and he's also a Rav. So it's one person, right? The people around him will call him different names. His wife, only his wife, will call him husband. His children will call him daddy or Abba or Tati. His grandchildren will call him Saba, right? His parents will call him son. His grandparents will call him grandson. His patient will call him doctor. And his Talmidim, his students will call him Rav, Rabbi. Same person. Many names. But be aware of another amazing thing. What are the names that we use? Those names are not the essence of who he is, because aside from being a doctor, he is also a Rav and a father and a husband. We calling the name that explain the relationship of me to him, right? So it's not his definition, it's the way I relate to him or he relate to me. This is the mashal and the nimshal of Hashem, right? So Hashem has different names. The names are not the names of the essence, the definition of the essence, but the way he relates to the world. Elohim, when we're talking about Hashem, we say it Elohim. But in the Torah it's written with a hey, right? So we have to know that the main letters of the word Elohim are the letters Aleph Lamed. Aleph Lamed in Hebrew is power. Yesh le'el yadi la'asot lachem me'uma. That's what Lavan says when he was chasing Yaakov. Yesh le'el yadi yesh bekochi. I have in my might, in my power, right? So Kadosh Baruch Hu called Elohim because he is the power, the power. He created all the powers. Therefore, in the Bria, in Parashat Bria, in the first chapter of Bereshit, actually the sixth day of the creation and the Yom HaShvi'i, Shabbos, we find only the name Elohim. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Vayomer Elohim yehi vehi. Because this is the ultimate power. To create something from nothing, this is the ultimate power. Paro and all the nations, and all of the Avodah Zarah, all the idol worshippers knew that there are powers in the world. They realized the middle powers. They knew that there is a power above all the powers. Even Nebuchadnezzar says about HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he is Elokei HaElokim. He is the power of the powers. So this name was known in Mitzrayim. Moshe Rabbeinu came with a new name. Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is the name that we just in Parshas Vayera last week read that Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayomer Elokim, Vayidaber Elokim el Moshe, Vayomer el Avani Hashem, Vayera el Avraham el Yitzchak ve'el Yaakov be'kel Shakai, Ushmi el Hashem Yud Kei Vav Kei lo nodati lahem. So he came now with this name, and there is a power of this name. This is the name of Yitzias Mitzrayim, of doing miracles or breaking the laws of nature. Paro never knew about this name. Therefore he said, Lo yadati et Hashem, I don't know what you're talking about. So Paul Moshe told him, okay, if you do not know, it's fixable. I'll teach you. You'll learn. No one was born knowledgeable, right? I'll teach you. And he give him 10 classes. Dam, Tzvardea, Kenim. And he learned. Now if you remember what happened, the first time he was in front of Paro, Hashem told him in advance, ויאמר השם אל משה ואל אהרון, כי יאמר אליכם פרעה תנו לכם מופת. in order to impress them that you're coming from in the name of a big power, he will take, okay, do something. So tell Aaron that he will take his stick, throw it to the ground, it will be a snake. And that's what happened, right? Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron did this. Paro didn't get impressed at all. He said, what? This is your proof? I could do that too. He called the Khartoumim, meaning the magicians in Egypt. They did the same. It repeats itself in the Dam and the Tzfardea. It's mentioned that after the Makat Dam, the Khartoumim also did the same thing. The magicians did the same thing. The Tzfardea, they did the same thing. What was the turning point for the Khartoumim? Mitzrayim was the source of Tumah, of spiritual impurity. And magic, or black magic, is there. So the top magicians that was in front of Paro was the top knowledgeable people in this area of black magic. No one was better than them. He took the best, the top of the top. So when Moshe and Aaron came and did magic, he really didn't get impressed. He said, what? You're bringing magic to Egypt? Come on, I could do the same. And they did. In the lice, in the third Makkah, it says that after Moshe and Aaron hit the ground and become lice, the Khartoumim tried to do the same, and they didn't succeed. V'lo yacholu. So they came to Paro, the Khartoumim came to Paro and told them, listen, take this guy seriously. This is not magic. This is the finger of God. Etzba Elokim. If he could do it and we could not do it, it's not magic. There is nothing in magic that we could not do. So this is not magic. You know what happened to the Paro continued to harden his heart, and he got all the lessons until the Makas Bechoros. But the Khartoumim knew in the third Makkah that Moshe Rabbeinu coming from a different place. You know what happened to them? They start to admire him. The Khartoumim, you know, they really appreciate themselves. And when they find someone who is more professional than them and could do something that they could not do, he becomes their guru. Yeah, you are our leader. And in this week's Parsha, in Parashat Bo, in the 8th Makkah, Makkah Arbe, Paro was warned before. He said, no, the Khartoumim came to him. Are you crazy? Everything that this guy said happened, it's going to happen, send them. So he called them back, and then he didn't send them. But the Khartoumim was sure that Moshe Rabbeinu is a very powerful person. When Makas Bechoros came, and they knew that this is it, and they heard Paro told them, get out, kumutsu mitochami. They came to Moshe, the Khartoumim, and said, we're not leaving you. Take us, with you. We're going with you. And they were the Erev, says the Zohar. There were many people, but the main leaders of the Erev was the Khartoumim of Paro. They do not want to leave their new guru, and they want to go out because of Moshe. What was the problem? Moshe Rabbeinu was with them for 50 days. Then he went to the mountain. He said he's going to come back in 40 days, and he didn't. They were in panic. What? We didn't come to accept the Torah, accept Hashem. We want Moshe. Moshe is not here. So they came to Aaron and told him, Moshe is not here. We must have some power. קום עשה לנו אלוהים אשר ילכו לפנינו כי זה משה האיש לא ידענו מה היה לו. And they made by magic the egel. Aaron didn't want to do the egel. When Moshe Rabbeinu verified afterward what happened, so he said, Aaron said something very interesting. He said, "Va'ashlicheu ba'esh vayetze ha'egel hazeh." I took the jewelries, I put in the fire. What do you mean vayetze? מאיפה הוא יצא? From words coming. Vayetze. They made it with their magic. They caused the egel. They did the egel. So says the Zohar, ויען העם כי בושש משה, מן העם אינון ערב רב. מן ערב רב? כל חרשי מצרים, all the חרטום במצרים. They saw the amazing things that Moshe Rabbeinu did. They want to go out of Mitzrayim. Moshe says, why not? I'll take you. You're convinced of the truth, that there is a Hashem. Hashem told him, don't take them. But he said, you know what? Let's accept them as a Gerim. And he took them on his own decision. And that's what Hashem said, Kishichet Amcha. Those ones that you decided to take, they made the entire corruption. And because of that, there was the anger. The Zohar continues and says something very interesting, that among the Khartoumim was two major figures. Their names, the Zohar brings the names. Their name was Yonos and Yambaros. And it says that Yonos and Yambaros were the sons of Bilam. Bilam was one of the Khartoum, the Yoatzim of Paro. He has 3 Yoatzim, right? So the sons of Bilam was Yonos and Yambaros, and they were the Rashei HaErev, the heads of the Erev. Okay, now let's go to the history. Those Erev were there in Kabbalah Satorah. They were not interested in the Torah, they were interested in Moshe. And as we said, they were in the back, but they're part of Am Yisrael. They mixed up in Am Yisrael, and we came back to the situation that was that the good is mixed with not good. And they are with us until the end of days. And there is, in every generation, inside the Jewish nation, and this is a problem. So we came back to the point that good and bad are mixed, good and evil mixed together. There is a pasuk, few psukim in the Tanakh. I will start from Yecheskel. Yecheskel Perek Kaf. Again, I have to give some information to understand. I mean, not everyone know the history of Beit Rishon at least. Yecheskel were in Bovel. Yecheskel Hanavi. He were in Bovel with 11 years before the destruction of Beit Rishon. If you remember in Megillah Esther in Purim, we says about Mordechai, איש יהודי היה בשושן הבירה ושמו מרדכי בן יאיר בן שמעי בן קיש איש ימיני, I'm quoting from Megillah Esther, אשר הוגלה עם הגולה אשר הוגלתה עם יחוניה מלך יהודה. He was with the ones who were get to exile in Yechonia Melech Yehuda. Now we have to know that Yechonia was not the last king. The last king in Bais Rishon was Tzidkiyahu. What was the story? Yechonia was in the dynasty of David HaMelech. He was a young king. He was a king in Yehuda for 3 months only. But he is the son of the son of the son of David HaMelech. He was not one of the good Melachim. He didn't do what's right. And he rebelled against Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. 11 years before Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the first Beis HaMikdash. He rebelled against him. The Tanakh and Sefer Melachim and Yirmiyahu mention that Nebuchadnezzar came and conquered Yerushalayim, captured the king, put him in exile, and he took with him all the elite Jews in Yerushalayim. He took to exile. Among them was all the Sanhedrin, the 70 members of the Sanhedrin, HaCharash VeHaMasger, all the power people in the economy. He took everyone to Gos, but he didn't destroy Yerushalayim yet. Instead, he took the uncle of Yechonia, the brother of his father. His name was Matanya. He switched his name, Nebuchadnezzar switched his name from Matanya to Tzidkiyahu and put him as a king, hoping that he will be faithful to him. He was a king for a few years, and then he rebelled against him again. And that was the cause of the destruction. 9 years after he became a king, he rebelled against the Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. Nebuchadnezzar came, was a siege on Yerushalayim for 2 years, or 2.5 years, and then he captured Yerushalayim. He took Tzidkiyahu. He slaughtered his sons in front of his eyes. He made him blind and took him out to exile. He destroyed Beis HaMikdash. He burned it, and that was the end of Bais Rishon. 11 years before, Yechoniah went to Bavel. He was in jail in Bavel with all the Sanhedrin and the Nevi'im. At the time, Yechezkel and Mordechai and Yechezkel Hanavi was with him going to Bavel. So Yechezkel was giving his nevuos in Bavel. It says that few years before, 3 years or 4 years before the destruction of Yerushalayim, Beis HaMikdash still in Yerushalayim, Yechezkel in Bavel, in the 20th chapter, Perek Kaf in Yechezkel, it says that Yechezkel described that few of Ziknei Israel, the leaders of the Jewish people that were in exile over there with him, came to him lidrosh Hashem. They came to demand something. So what was the discussion over there? They came to Yechezkel and said, listen, we do not know what Hashem wants from us. Everyone, Yirmiyahu Hanavi, talking about the destruction of Beis HaMikdash. Okay, listen, we are aware of what happened. We signed a contract with God in Ma'amad Har Sinai, right? That we will be His nation. We didn't do our part, so He broke the covenant. 100 years before, a little bit more than 100 years, was the exile of the 10 tribes, right? And now, in Eretz Yisrael, they're doing Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayot Shfichut Damim, and okay, the Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. Okay, so they came to Yechezkel and said, fine, so we understand that our story with God is finished. There's no more covenant, that's it. Hashem told him, Yechezkel, tell him the following. And this is an amazing chapter. This is a chapter that needs to be learned by itself. It's a whole shiur right just on this chapter, chapter 20, Perek Kaf Yechezkel. Hashem told him the following. Tell them, והעולה על רוחכם היו לא תהיה אשר אתם אומרים נהיה כגויים. Forget it. It will not happen. Even though you are disgraced the covenant, you will never be able to be like other nations. העולה על רוחכם היו לא תהיה. חי אני נאום השם, השם swear. אם לא ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ובחמה שפוכה אמלוך עליכם. I will be your king. Our covenant will not be break. Even if you broke it, I never broke it with you. And you have no choice but to be my nation. You are not doing right, you're going to be punished. You're going to be in exile. But I will never break my covenant with you, and I will bring you back to Eretz Yisrael at the end of days, after you pay the price. And it says over here, חי אני נאום השם אם לא ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ובחמה שפוכה אמלוך עליכם. והוצאתי אתכם מן העמים. After you will be in exile, I will take you out of the nations and I will bring you back to Eretz Yisrael. וקיבצתי אתכם מן הארצות אשר נפוצתם בהם. I will gather you together ביד חזקה ובזרוע נטויה ובחמה שפוכה. והבאתי אתכם, and here he says something very interesting. He says, והבאתי אתכם אל מדבר העמים. It's a new notion. I will bring you to the desert of the nations. What is this? ונשפטתי שם איתכם שם פנים אל פנים. I will judge you there, face to face, כאשר נשפטתי את אבותיכם במדבר ארץ מצרים. The same way I did with your forefathers in the desert of Mitzrayim. What is he talking about? כן אשפט אתכם נאום השם אלוקים. נאום השם. נאום השם אלוקים. What is he saying? You know what he's saying? He's saying something amazing. When we went out of Mitzrayim, we supposed to go straight to Eretz Yisrael. Why it took 40 years? Because of the Chetam HaRaglim. What happened in Chetam HaRaglim? They sent the spies. The spy says, it doesn't work, it's very risky, we do not want to go to Eretz Yisrael. It's a committing a national suicide. So Hashem said to them, to the Meraglim. You didn't want Eretz Yisrael? Okay, you will not get it. You will stay in the desert for 40 years. All of you are going to die there. Your children will go to Eretz Yisrael. This is Midbar Eretz Mitzrayim. This is the Mishpat that was in the desert of Eretz Mitzrayim. After you went out of Mitzrayim, you died in the desert because you didn't believe and you didn't trust me. Says Hashem by Yechezkel HaNavi here that the same thing gonna happen in the Galus. Yechezkel talked to them, in few years Beis HaMikdash is gonna be destroyed. You're going to exile. We'll be Bayis Sheni, but after Bayis Sheni, we'll be also in exile. A lot of time. You'll be there for a long time. This exile will be the same exile that was in the 40 years in the desert. And what's going to happen there? Hashem says, I'm going to face to face to you, judge you the same way I judge your forefathers in the desert. And here he explained something terrible. He said, והבאתי אתכם אל מדבר העמים, ונשפטתי אתכם שם פנים אל פנים כאשר נשבעתי את אבותיכם במדבר ארץ מצרים, כן אשפט אתכם נאום השם אלוקים. והעברתי אתכם תחת השבט. I will make you go under the stick. והבאתי אתכם במסורת הברית. The covenant that we had in Ma'amad Sinai is relevant. And I will make you being under this brit. And here he says, ובראתי מכם המורדים והפושעים בי. I will separate from you those who rebel and are wicked against me. מארץ מגוריהם הוציא אותם ואל אדמת ישראל לא יבוא. Same way that happened with the people who accept the Lashon Hara of the Meraglim. They will not be part of the Geula. So you know what he says over here? He says over here that the exile, the long exile that we are in, almost 2,000 years, is an exile that part of it is to separate the evil from the good among the Jewish nation. We know, we're facing today, but it's not just today, we have to know, the horrible Holocaust of assimilation. We're losing Jews every day. We're talking about 6 million Jews in America. You know that this number didn't change in the last 70 years? Right after the Holocaust was 6 million over here. How it didn't change? Because of assimilation. Who will stay? Who will stay? Only the people who stick to the Torah. Who is assimilated? The people who has no connection to Torah. Right? So this process is not just in the last 70 years. Here in Yechezkel it says that during the history, and not everyone will be Zoche for the Geula. There is an Erev Rav within us. And those who are there will not be... This is the meaning of Varoti mikem haposhim ve'hamordim bi. I'll separate them and they will be out in order to only the pure good of the Jewish nation will stay. So this process explained in the Kabbalah like a Beirur HaNeshamot. I will want to just mention another thing. It will take me a few minutes.
It almost seems like the antithesis of Kiruv then.
Well, what?
It's almost like the antithesis of Kiruv. Then you should let them...
No. Wait. Okay. Because of that, listen, I'm in Kiruv.
Right.
In the last 30 years, I'm doing Kiruv. Okay, let me explain. I want to quote you something. Let me see how quick we can do it. There is a famous letter that the Rambam, Maimonides, sent to the Jews in Yemen about 900 years ago, 950 years ago. It was a decree in Yemen, it was a whole problem, and the Jews got confused, and the community, the heads of the community in Yemen sent a letter to the Rambam, what we going to do, what's going to happen. Many people has doubts about the Torah, about Yiddishkeit, about everything, what we're going to do. So the Rambam sent them a whole Igeret, a whole letter. There is a lot of things over there. I will quote only one amazing thing that he said over there. He says that it's mentioned in the Navi, in Daniel, יתבררו ויתלבנו ויצרפו רבים, וירשיעו רשעים ולא יבינו כל רשעים והמשכילים יבינו. So he comforted them by telling them that there is a purpose of all of this. Let me just get to this here. אבל מה שאמרת, the Rambam now sending a letter to the head of the community in Yam. So he told them the following, אבל מה שאמרת, שדעת קצת בני עמנו נעדרה ונתבלבלה. Some of our people got confused and they do not sure that the Torah is true, that Hashem is there, because of the Galus. So he said, the description that you described, that few of your people have doubts and questions, but others are very strong and believe and have emunah. He says, the Rambam says, Daniel, talk about this in Sefer Daniel, כי בהאריך לנו הימים בגלותנו ובבוא הצרות עלינו יצאו רבים מן הדת. Daniel said that many people will get out of Yiddishkeit. יצאו רבים מן הדת ויתחדש להם ספק ויטעו. They will have doubts, and וסיבה זאת תהיה בראותם דלדולנו. When they see the long time of the galus and the troubles that we have, and he quote this passage. והוסיף לבאר לנו, and the Rambam continued, that Daniel continued and said, שאפילו המשכילים ההמה, so the Rishayim will just get out and will get lost. But the maskilim, the one who really understand it, they will stay. But he continued and said, שאפילו המשכילים האלה והמבינים שעברו עליהם צרות ועמדו כנגדם ונשארו באמונתם, those who went the first wave of כפירה, and they were strong, עדיין יעברו עליהם צרות קשות ורעות יותר מן הראשונות. It will be another ניסיון, bigger wave. עד שיתחדש גם להם ספק ויטעו. Even the strong ones that passed the first wave, some of them will go out in the next wave. עד שיתברר עליהם. So the one who stay will be only few. So all of this Rambam talk about many, many years ago, right? So since then we know the enlightenment, which is the darkness, and what happened after that. Many people left, and until today. So we have to know that there is a process. The process is that they should be Hashem leading this in order to get the good, real good, the one that has no problems. But here the Rambam says something unbelievable. And with this we'll finish. But this is something. If you think you heard today amazing stuff, this is the most amazing thing. The Rambam says the following. וכבר הבטיחנו הבורא יתברך כאדם הנכנס ערב לחברו. Hashem promised us in מעמד הר סיני. When Hashem talked to Moshe Rabbeinu, he says in מעמד הר סיני, הנה אנוכי בא אליך באב וענן, באפור ישמע עם בדברי עמך וגם בך יאמינו לעולם. You know why I'm doing the revelation at Sinai? בעבור ישמע העם בדברי עמך השם. The nation will hear that I'm talking to you, וגם בך יאמינו לעולם. Says the Rambam, לפיכך יש לדעת. Therefore, you have to know, שכל מי שנטע מדרך הדת הנתונה במעמד ההוא, שאינו מזרע האנשים ההם. Anyone during the history that will get off the derech and go out, and not, we know today that there are many people that went off the derech, young people, but many of them, Baruch Hashem, few years after come back. We're talking here about the ones who went off the derech and become just denier of everything and died like this. He says, יש לדעת שכל מי שנטע מדרך הדת הנתונה במעמד, anyone who get out of Yiddishkeit, שאינו מזרע האנשים ההם. He is not from the seeds of those people. Why? Because Hashem promised that anyone that were in Ma'amad Sinai, יאמינו לעולם. And if they lost their emunah, meaning that they are not part of they're not from the seeds of those people.
So like Erev?
Wait. וכן אמרו רבותינו זיכרונם לברכה, כל המסתפק בנבואה לא עמדו אבותיו על הר סיני. So, this is a quote from the Rambam. What's the problem? The big problem. What do you mean? There are so many good Jews, tzaddikim, that their children went out of the derech. So how could you say, Shalom do avotam al har Sinai? If they themselves, fine. But they're for sure the descendants of big tzaddikim during the history. This is the question that, of course, obvious, raised from those words of the Rambam. So there is a Ramban. The Ramban is in... Okay, I'm going to put it on the website, so if you want, you will see.
Or you can call me later.
So the Ramban says about the pasuk at the end of Sefer Devarim. In Parashat Nitzavim, Moshe Rabbeinu says, before he passed away, he says, "Pen yesh bachem ish o isha o mishpacha o shevet asher levavo poneh hayom im Hashem Elokeinu." If there is a person, a man or a lady, or a family, or a tribe, that levavo, his heart going away from Hashem, lalechet לעבוד את אלוהי הגויים, pen yesh bachem shoresh poreh rosh vela'ana. If there is a root, a shoresh, a root, poreh rosh vela'ana, that brings something bitter, says the Ramban on this pasuk. Poreh rosh, lirmoz, ki mishoresh matok lo yetze mar. If you plant something, seed, that has to be sweet, it will never bring or grow up out of it something bitter. Therefore, if, it says the Raman, v'chol asher levavo shalem im Hashem hanichbad, anyone that is complete and good with Hashem, he could never bring to the world a child that will be just the opposite. Ki mishoresh matok lo yetze mar. Ask the Ramban, ve'al tekshe alai b'zeh min hakatuv b'Yechezkel ve'olid ben paritz. There is a psukim, or verses in Yechezkel that says, if there is a tzaddik that all his life did good stuff, but he has a child that was wicked, murderer, something really bad. So, as the Ramban, how could I say that? Yechezkel said that there is such a possibility. Says the Ramban, I'm aware of this. Al tekshe alai, don't ask me from them, ki emet hadavar. What I told you is true. V'sod gadol lo uchal lafaresh bo. This is a big secret I could not explain. So he asked a big question and he left us with, it's a secret I could not explain.
No.
It's not fair, right?
Right.
So here's the answer. After the Ramban was the Shach. Remember I mentioned the Siftei Kohen before. So the Shach quote the Rekanati. The Rekanati is one of the commentaries of the Torah. And he quote the Rekanati. And they said the Rekanati quote the Ramban. And he said the entire thing. Mishoresh mar, matok lo yetze mar. And there is a question from Yechezkel. Says the Rekanati, V'ani shamati ve'lo avim. I heard what the Ramban says. And he finishes, it's a secret. So, I don't know what's going on. Says the Shach on the Rekanati. ואולי, כי כוונת הרב זיכרונו לברכה הוא, כי אין נקרא בניו אלא החדשים, והצדיק לא הוליד בן חדש רק אם יהיה צדיק מותו. And here he explains something according to the Kabbalah, which is a Gilgul Neshama. What is he saying? He's saying I'll explain the things. There are three partners in every human being. The father, the mother, and Hashem. The father and the mother contribute the body, right? The DNA, right? The neshama we do not get from our parents. We got from Hashem. Some of the neshamas are not new neshamas.
That's right.
Right? So,
all are old.
okay. So what he says is the following. If there is a tzaddik that has a wicked child, that this child become wild, went off the derech, died as a wicked person, this kid is biologically a kid of his parents, and they could be tzaddikim. But his neshama is not a new one. So he is a father considered a father only if he's a father that got a new neshama. But if he got an old neshama, this old neshama has a background, therefore he is not his father in this term. So he biologically is father, or the mother, but it's the neshama. So what he says over here.
So like David HaMelech had Menashe. Menashe was not considered...
A what?
Like David HaMelech had Menashe, meaning...
From his dynasty. Right. So, I will finish with a quote from the Satmar Rebbe. The Satmar Rebbe in Darkei Yoel, Parshas Vayishlach, says the following. With this we'll conclude. והרקנתי והשח על התורה גילו סודו, the secret of the Ramban, שהוא סוד הגלגול. רוצה לומר שבגלגולים הקודמים שורש נשמתם ואבותיהם מערב רב. In the former lifetimes of this neshamas, they have neshamas from the Erev. What's Erev idea is denying Hashem. It's like Nachash HaKadmoni. Don't listen to Hashem. or the Erev Rav in Chet Egel. There is another power. So all of those Jews who were so against Hashem and against the Torah, there are few, you heard about them, right? They are the neshamas from there. ומשם נמשך בחינת נפש רעה אליו להיות מודה בעבודה זרה. ועל דרך זה, here he said, we could understand what the Rambam says in איגרת תימן, שכל מי שנטע מדרך הדת הנתונה במעמד הר סיני, שאינו מזרע האנשים האלה. אף על פי שלפי הרעות הוא מזרע האנשים האלה. He's children of a very chashuv families, right? אבל שורש נשמתם מערב רב, ואלה הם אבותם בגלגול הקודם, והם הערב רב המעורבים בישראל שהזכירו בזוהר הקדוש. ומבואר בזוהר הקדוש בכמה מקומות, והגלות היותר קשה הוא גלות ישראל בערב רב. This is their worst goals. Why? Because when you have the goy, you know he's a goy. But when he's part of us, and it says in the Kabbalah and the Kitvei Ari and the Kitvei Agra that at the end of days, we, the Jewish people who believe in the Torah and Hashem, will be under the goals, the leaders of the Jewish people. We see it today in Israel, and we see it today in America. Who is the leader of the Jews, the 6 million? Those who are denying Hashem and denying the Torah and do whatever they could do against the Torah. So let's finish with the good stuff. Okay. We have to know that those neshamas they have not too good background from other lifetimes. They were sent to this world for a purpose. They could be metaken in this lifetime, whatever they didn't do, or any problems that they didn't do. So they have a chance. But because they have not good background, there is a tendency for them to be against. But there is a way. Therefore, we have to do kirov. We have to be mekar of every Jew. The bottom line, at the end of the day, it's their choice. I could not choose for anyone, but I must give them the opportunity to know the truth and make the truth attractive to them. That's what we have to do. But we have to know that this is a situation. And until the Jews will not be purified to the end, the Geula will be only for those, as Yechezkel says, only for those who will be completed at the end of the process. So here we are.
Just a very big question. Why then are we responsible for Chet HaEgel? I understand being responsible for Chet HaMeraglim,
right.
But we're still suffering from Chet HaEgel.
Right. We are suffering because they influences us. They influences us. Many Jews...
But it was not our duty.
Few Jews went out. כתוב ויפול מן העם כ3,000 איש. 3,000 people were Jews who went after the Egel. Because everyone has in the free will, we inside of us there is a Yetzer Hara that say, you know what, I don't want to be under any authority. I want to do whatever I want. So that is the free will.
That's their choice to follow.
Yeah. But at the end it will be good. This is the story of the Erev.